Hi, I am Mishka, and it's wonderful to be here with you again today. We're busy with our series, the I Am series, and I'm very excited about this, and I'm so glad if you're doing this journey with me, and I hope that you're learning a lot, and I hope that in the past couple of weeks you've already started to find out what is that I am, that part of you that was so perfectly formed inside of you and that's calling you that purpose that we are looking at, and that you already could start to go to certain places. And I'd like to invite you, if you're finding anything difficult and you want to send us an email, please go ahead and do that. It will appear, the email address will appear on the screen. Please send us those emails so that when we talk about these things, I can perhaps zoom in on certain of the issues that's coming up as you are on the journey with me. Today I'd like to talk to you about something that I am that's really very close to my heart, and that is relationships. I don't know if you remember, but last time I spoke about that when we actually move into the I am, that even some people might not go with us into that place, when we go into our place where we should be. Because nothing wrong with them, but it may be that they simply don't fit the purpose. Sometimes we say if a person doesn't have the same purpose as ours, we don't actually understand how very much that can affect our lives. To have a person or people in our lives, too many of them, that has a completely different purpose. Now, I'm not talking about people that might be just in our work environment or, general colleagues or people that you're getting to do with. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about making decisions about people close to us. Once again, those we can choose. I'm not talking once again about our families. If a family doesn't have the same purpose, nobody has the same purpose. We all have different ones. But it is important to know that when we choose people, you see, when we understand the I am and the purpose that we have, it becomes so much easier to make good decisions. Because you see, life always presents us with a lot of options. You might be a person that's really good looking, and a lot of people from the opposite sex want to be with you. And you think, wow, man, this is amazing. I'm so special, and I'm spoiled for choice. But I do want to give a bit of a warning there, because being spoiled for choice is not always a good thing. It's a very flattering thing, but certainly when we are in this journey, it's a very serious one. And the decisions that we're going to make will definitely influence our future, and it will definitely influence your future, because the person and the people that we allow close are the ones that's going to run with us, or that's the ones that's going to hold us back. We find that very often people just make a decision without really thinking it through, without going to find out who this person is that I'm going to get married to. Let's just use that as an example. And they just go for it, and not understanding who the I am is. And we find that a lot of people, I myself, I had no idea what my purpose was. At a point of my life, I just absolutely did mostly what I felt other people thought I should do. And even though a lot of me was part of that, a lot of the decisions I made early in my life when I got married was based on the fact that I didn't really know who I was destined to be. And it was a complete ignorant decision that I made. So, so many people today are struggling because they have been through a divorce, and they sometimes carry a lot of guilt and sometimes a lot of unforgiveness. But when we understand, and the blame, so much easier to blame somebody else when things went wrong. But when we come into that place of understanding that maybe I just didn't make the right decision, maybe that was just not the right decision. Perhaps everything else determined this decision, but not really who I am. I never paid attention. And understand, once again, we're not wrong. We're not guilty of something, because if we don't know that, you'll soon find that the position that you're in, it must be a frustrating position. And once again, I'm not saying that even if people are absolutely meant for each other, they're going to frustrate each other. That's going to happen. So I'm not saying that you may be in the wrong place. I'm saying that if you've been there before, and at the end of the day, a situation didn't work out for you and you've gone through a divorce, then you have to understand that it is okay. There's always a new beginning. There's always a new chance. There's always something that I can just go back and find out. But I would like to encourage you that if that's happened to you, then the chances of making a second mistake actually becomes more, according to all the, statistics, and people say second chance and whatever is actually worse off. I don't believe that for one moment. I don't believe that for one moment. I do believe it if we just go and make a decision based on what we've been through and we just want people for the wrong motive. But when we get in, and once again, I just want to encourage you to get back into who you are. Find out first, what is that I am? What is calling inside of you? What is it that you should be? It's been one of the most difficult things for me personally. And like I said before, I'm talking out of my own life and I'm encouraging out of my own life. Not that my own life was in any way right. A lot of it was wrong. That's exactly how I know at one point, and how easy it is. I struggled with those things. It was far easier to say. And yes, things did happen. It wasn't good for me. But if I knew from the moment that I went into a relationship who I was, I would have actually made different decisions. Not because that person wasn't good enough, it's not because they're not really, wonderful in their own sense, but just because we clashed. At some point there was just nothing anymore. It was just not right. Now, that is something that comes from a person that lives and don't understand their true identity. And it's so sad, because most of us in our lives end up in a place like that, where we just don't know who we are. How on earth can you make a decision? It's like I walk into a shop. Remember, I used this example before about a shoe. And I don't know what my size is, I don't know, I'll just take whatever you've got. We can't do that, because that shoe is going to harm us and it's going to hurt us later on. We don't go into a place and wear clothes that don't fit us. We try as much as we can to get something that would fit us. It is the same with relationships. That person that's going to be with us for the rest of our lives, they are actually playing a really, really, really big part in us reaching our purpose. And it's so important for us to encourage them to find out what is the I am that's inside of you. Sometimes we are so threatened by another person's I am. We think, maybe if they just go into full stride, what about me? Just now I get left behind. But we should actually be encouraging them, and we should say it to them, and we should say it to one another. Man, let's find out who that is. Let's find out who you are, and encourage one another. And we can say, man, get to that place of who you are. Because I tell you one thing, I do believe you'll be a very, very happy spouse if your spouse is actually in the place they're supposed to be, because that is a sweet spot. That is a place where we are happy, where we are content. That is the place where depression doesn't play a role. And that is a place where we absolutely go with the flow. That is a satisfying place. Can you see what I'm saying? Oftentimes we get so many problems in relationships because deep down inside of us, we're just simply not satisfied. And it doesn't mean that we're not satisfied with the person that we are. We're just simply not satisfied with who we are. And that is the greatest reason for relationships to fail. Because if we're not satisfied with who we are, now we're trying to fill it with who another person is. It's so unfair towards the person that we are in relationship with. Other people are not supposed to satisfy us. We're supposed to find out that I am. What was I born to be? Remember, it's the same. It will go and it will always be the same. It's not going to change according to our circumstances. That I am, that purpose inside of you that you have come in that package, remember, as a little baby, perfectly sealed. That is it. That's your purpose. It's not going to change. And so often we are desperate. We want somebody to make us feel better, somebody to perhaps live with us, or, you know, it makes it easier because it's just so much easier when two people work, you know. It's better to bring in two incomes than one. So the motive for getting together in a relationship can be wrong, and that can actually be extremely devastating down the line, because whatever wrong decision we make because of where we are, because of the fact that I don't know who I am, will most definitely keep on hindering you. Now I can talk to you about perhaps a shoe where there's a little stone in it. You know, it's very small. But that stone stays in it. That little thing stays in it. And we walk on it and we walk on it and we hurt and we can't run and we're trying to get forward, but the stone stays there. And that stone very often is little things, you know, like we have somebody, we can't get along with them, we're not happy, we're depressed, we're unforgiving, we're living in bitterness. We get all these things to hold us back from that sweet spot. All these little things that is major because we don't understand purpose. So when we make decisions, when you've gone through a process of understanding purpose, understanding what you've been really, why you're here, why you've been created, why are we here? When we start to move into that place, then we start to make different decisions. I want to make an example of this. Because of that, making wrong decisions, because I didn't understand my purpose at all. I became a very frustrated person, even in a relationship and being married, because I was in the wrong place. It was the wrong decision. I can't blame anybody else for that. Yes, there were bad circumstances, but I don't even look at that today. I understand that mostly of it, neither myself or whoever understood exactly what they were here for. We didn't even look at that. It wasn't even important. We were never taught these things. We just started, oh man, you know what? I think we should get married. And it doesn't work like that. But now that has to be reversed, because you see, whatever we do, unfortunately, goes and sits in your mind. And this becomes a mindset. So that is a habit that has now been formed. What I've gone and done wrong, if we have too much pride to say, I was wrong, I shouldn't have been here, then we keep that, you know, as long as I can just make as if I'm okay. As long as I don't have to face the situation. Rather face it, man. You're going to find out that both of you might even get to a completely different, wonderful, amazing place. But very often there's a suppression and I have to get it up and I've got to keep going, you know. And there's this mindset that now gets formed. And the further we go down the line, the more we cannot reverse and go back to which is healthy, that which is good, that which makes you happy, that makes you get up in the morning and think, I'm actually so glad to see you. I'm actually so glad to know that you're actually sharing my house with me, or whatever. And people get frustrated and they get dissatisfied and we get all these other things because people don't understand their whole purpose. I'd really, really like to encourage you, because when you get to that place, and when you make the decision, you come to the maturity where you can say, you know what? I'd much rather completely reverse my thinking, start to teach myself, this is who I am. Now, being, for me, after I got divorced, it's been a long time being sort of alone. So what happens is, it becomes so much easier when I only then found out, wow, it's my fault. I had to change. Remember the day in the gym? If you listen to one of the previous series, that was that wake-up calling for me to say, hey, you've got to get back to where you're supposed to be. You've got to change things about yourself. It is a wake-up call. It's not easy. It was like, really? Do I have to go through those things? So when we go back to the gym and we realize we've got to lose a little bit of weight and we've got to do those things and we've got to get back to health again. It's never easy. But it's the same thing in relationships. What do you want to offer to somebody new? So what you're going to do is you're going to look at yourself and say, I've got to be so honest with myself. Where am I? Do I know what I want? Because then it's easy to make decisions. Then it's easy not to get involved in the wrong relationships. Then it's easy, even my friends, to start to choose the right friends. And once again, it has got nothing to do with one person is good and another person is bad. It's got nothing to do with that. Yes, it is a good, very, very good decision not to hang around people that have got no purpose and that are not interested in purpose at all. Because the more you've got purpose, the less you want to be around anybody that doesn't understand that. It's almost like a cleaning up of your act, and you understand that if I'm going to get them involved in my life, eventually I'm going to have to carry them through, and you're just not going to make it. Because when we run for purpose, it is almost like a clean run. It is almost like getting rid of everything that shouldn't be there. It is to go for that place where you're going to just go through the winning run and say, man, wow, I have done what I'm supposed to do. And now we sit and we've got these people, they're there now. You're listening and you might say, oh, I don't know how to get out of this now. How am I going to move to that next level? Once again, it is decisions. It is decisions. More people are going to come in. First find out. First go deep. First go back to the I am, to that place, that purpose. And when people treat you in a certain way, say, is this me? Is this for me? There's a lot of abusive relationships out there. Very, very often people are extremely abused. Men and women. Men and women. It's not just, and when I talk about abuse, I don't just talk about being physical abuse or so, but there's a lot of emotional abuse. There's a lot of abuse. And when you enter into relationships, and when you know who you are, you will actually find out who you should not be with very quickly, because that is like a guiding factor inside of you. I want you to see that. I want you to become so aware of this, that I am inside of you that knows exactly this is my purpose, and it's going to come alive. I can promise you that. Once you start to live like this, you will most definitely start to know this is not good, does not line up with who I am. Is that me? No, it's not me. When we walk, we all have a different style. When I walk into a clothing store, I know exactly. And fortunately, I'm one of those people. But it has a link to the place where I am inside of me. But I know that style fits me, that doesn't fit me, end of story. And you will put me never into a set of clothing that I don't think is for me, or a color. But that same dress might look exquisite on another lady, because that's who she is. Can you see that? But the fact that we need to recognize, does that fit me or not? Does that behavior fit me or not? If I am a winner, if I want to be successful, does it fit me to say ugly things? Does gossip work in my life? Does it fit in my life to say things about other people that break them down? No. But when they come and do that to me, I need to be strong enough, and I need to care enough about myself also to say, that's not going to be part of my life, because I know who I am. That is the I am factor. Start to make good decisions, and then that happiness that starts to flow out of you. At the end of the day, we actually draw to us what is supposed to come in that moment then. What is that which also, how amazing is it to find somebody that also know who they are? And let me tell you this, most of us don't know who we are for the rest of our lives. There's a lot of things that we still have to find out, and I have to find out, and you have to find out. I think the biggest treasure is finding somebody in our relationships, in our friendships, in marriage, or somebody out there who knows that they're also looking, that they also need to find their purpose, and they want to help you and me find our purpose. Isn't that amazing? And when we can come to that level of getting others to also find out the I am inside of them, then we are coming to a place of really, really living in a society where we hope, and I do believe there's a lot less hopelessness and there's a lot less depression when we start to live this way, when we start to find out what we are made for, and when we start to respect it and honor it when somebody else has been made for something different than what we are, when we see the beauty in another person, and the beauty in what they do. But the only way we get there is very often when we start to see the beauty in ourselves. To love yourself and to find out and be comfortable with who you are is one of the most important things. It is so vitally important to fall in love with who you are. And if you're not in love with who you are, I'm encouraging you once again, go and find out, start to find out, what is that I am? What is that part of you that was part of you when you were a baby, that is still the same today, that who you should be? And may that just come absolutely open up and bring you to a place of going into your sweet spot, being happy and being yourself and being there for others around you. Well, we're not finished obviously with this, but it's been amazing to speak to you over the past couple of weeks, and we're taking this further, the I Am series. I am waiting for your emails. I'm waiting for a response if people want to discuss specific situations. Then it would be lovely for me to focus on those and talk to you out of maybe your experiences, because look, I've used a lot of my own and I'm going to continue using my own, but I'd like to know more about yours, and you are more than welcome to write us and let us know what are the things that you're struggling with, and I'd like to discuss that with you on this journey of I Am. Until next time, goodbye.